All right, what is going on, everyone? Thank you so much for tuning in to my ranking of the Hatchet franchise. I love this franchise. It's one of my absolute favorites. I put this guy right here, Victor Crowley, up there with Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy, and even Art. Now, I know a lot of people is going stir crazy over Art the Clown, but I absolutely love Victor Crowley character. I love the storyline. And yeah, the Hatchet films are just a bunch of fun. And this is another ranking franchise that I've been wanting to rank. And of course, there's my Victor Crowley mask, and it's signed by the one and only Kane Hodder. I think this is Kane Hodder's best character. I know everybody thinks of Kane, they think of Jason, but no, when I think of Kane, it's this guy right here. I think he's more vicious than Jason. But I know that may be sacrilege to some people, but no, this guy right here, one of the best slashers of all time. But before we get into it, I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. And I hope that you are enjoying the content that I'm putting out. And let me know in the comment section if you've seen all the Hatchet films, what's your favorites. Give me your ranking. Let me know what you think of Victor Crowley. Is this Kane Hodder's best character, or do you like Jason better? Do you like Kane Hodder's Jason better than Victor Crowley? I'll put it that way. But anyway, there are 4 of these films, and I enjoy each and every one of them for their own disgusting, funny, amusing, dialogue, everything. I love everything about these films. And just because one of them's going to be in dead last, one of them's going to be number 1, it doesn't mean that, I dread watching this one. I enjoy all 4 of these films, and I'm hoping we get a couple more. And spoiler alert, if you have not seen the Hatchet franchise, then don't watch this video because I don't want to spoil this for anybody. These are the films that I wish I could go back and rewatch for the first time because I get a kick out of them every time. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the ranking. Okay, coming in at number 4 is Hatchet 3. I do enjoy this film. Like I said, I enjoy all 4 of the Hatchet films, but this is my least favorite just because there's a couple things that I feel like this film missed the mark on. Number 1, this is the one and only film that Adam Green did not direct, and I do feel like there are certain shots that doesn't really fit like the Adam Green style, which, if Adam Green didn't want to direct it, that's cool. That's his decision. But I think he did write this one. And I know he wrote and directed all the other ones, but Adam Green just has such a special touch and the way he films stuff and writes stuff that I feel like it was missing a little bit in this one. Also, I feel like one mark that they really missed out on was Derek Mears was in this film. Of course, he played the 2009 Jason. And then you've got Kane Hodder, who's best known for Jason. I really wanted to see that clash between them two titans, Jason versus Jason, and we didn't get it. It was such a quick scene. Yes, they did give us a little bit of Derek Mears versus Victor Crowley, but it just really didn't live up to what I think the horror fans really wanted to see. But besides that, I will say that the casting was good. Of course, Danielle Harris returned as Mary Beth. And we also had Zach Galligan. He played Sheriff Fowler. Caroline Williams, the one and only Caroline Williams, played Amanda. And then we had Sid Haig, who played Abbott McMullen. Another great actor, Perry Sheen, I think his name is. He played Andrew Young. And Cody Blue Snyder played Schneiderman, I believe is how they said his name. He's one of the other main reasons why this is coming in dead last, is Dee Snider's son. His character was too much language. And if you've watched my YouTube channel, you know that I'm not a big fan of language, but every other word was a cuss word out of his mouth. He was supposed to be the comedic relief, and he was to an extent, but he was also very annoying. And another thing that I know I'll probably get a lot of hate for is Zach Galligan. I never liked his acting, and I feel like him playing the sheriff, he shouldn't have had that big of a role, in my opinion. Anytime like there was any scene with him on it, whether he was supposed to be worried, scared, or aggravated or something, I just didn't feel it. I just don't think the man is a good actor, especially the older he gets. He was okay in Gremlins, but still, I just feel like he's not that great of an actor. But Caroline Williams playing Amanda, I thought she did a phenomenal job. I love the trio between her and Danielle Harris, Deputy Winslow. Yes. the three of them played off great with each other. My favorite scene is where they go and to see Sid Haig, and I think Sid Haig stole the show. Just his little one-liners he would say to Officer Winslow, I think, was funny, and Officer Winslow, how they would play off each other, was fantastic. But see, I've never liked the dynamic where like the missionaries and I guess like the SWAT team come in to take out Victor Crowley, because now you're just making it more of an action movie than a horror film, in my opinion. Um, but the kill scenes are wonderful. Kane Hodder did a great job as Victor Crowley, and once again, like I said, going back to Perry Sean, who played Andrew, I think he did a phenomenal job. He does a phenomenal job in all four of these films. Uh, the ending, I did like Caroline Williams' performance when she's insisting that Mary Beth takes the ashes to Victor Crowley to give him to break the curse and to give Victor Crowley his dad's ashes, because that's what Victor Crowley is seeking, his dad. And I enjoy the death scene because between Caroline Williams and Victor Crowley, because she has such a heartfelt moment where she's crying and she's like, "I believed in you," and she's just emotional, and he grabs her by the head, and she has a violent death scene. But then Victor Crowley and Mary Beth are going at it, and he picks her up and slams her on the tree, and a branch comes and stabs her. Well, she smashes the urn over Victor Crowley, and his daddy's ashes starts melting him. Well, then Danielle Harris, she falls out of the tree, the branch breaks. And if this would have been the last one, when it was the last one at the time, I was a little bummed out because I felt like they went out on a sour note as far as, did Mary Beth live or die? She's such a beloved character, and we didn't know if she lived or died. But overall, I still enjoy watching the film when I do binge these movies. It's just my least favorite. Like I said, I think this one was turned into more of an action film than a horror film. Okay, coming in at number 3 is Hatchet. This is the one that started it all. This is the one that introduced me to Adam Green, and I absolutely love this film. I love the casting in this film. I think the casting is phenomenal. Of course, we've got Robert Englund. He makes a surprise cameo as Samson. The one and only Joel David Moore plays Ben. I think he did a phenomenal job. In this one, we have a different Mary Beth. We have Tamara Fieldman. She played Mary Beth. Then we have, I think her name is Mercedes. I don't know how you say her name. She plays Misty. Of course, Perry Sheen is back as Sean. Jolie plays Jenna. The one and only John Carl Beckler is Jack Cracker. Dion Richmond is Marcus. Yeah, I think the casting is phenomenal. I love the storyline. I really love the girl that played Mary Beth in this first one. I wish she could have come back and been in the rest of them, but since she wasn't able to, I think they did a phenomenal job picking Danielle Harris, of course. But I feel like you can connect with these characters. When I say characters, Mary Beth, I feel like you can connect with Ben and, of course, Marcus. I think Ben and Marcus play off great with each other. They have that really good buddy system to where Marcus is all wanting to see the women, and Ben just got broken up. We've all had our hearts broken before, so we know kind of what he's going through. But I think them two played off great. They made a very good duo in the film. I love the married couple, how he's always like talking to his wife, and he's, I don't know, it's the way he's always like, Lufkins? I love that. He calls her Lufkins the whole time. But I like the backstory that we get with Victor Crowley as far as, for a original film. In part 2 we learn more, but they give you enough to know what's going on in the film. Kane Hodder's performance as Victor Crowley is terrifying in this film. I love the scene where after the guy gets his leg bit by the alligator and they going up to Victor Crowley's home, and the two married couple, she's kind of helping her husband, and she's like, they're a bunch of cowards. And she's like, it's okay, baby, the Lord's with us. And all of a sudden, you see Victor Crowley, that opening shot where he just comes out of that opening, and he's like roaring almost like a lion. And then he just starts booking it toward the married couple. She takes off. He starts chopping the husband. And, of course, they have one of the best death scenes in any horror film. Victor Crowley runs after her. He catches her, and he grabs her top jaw and bottom jaw, and he just starts ripping her mouth in half. Once again, great practical effects. Love this film. The There's really not any boring spots to the film. I think it's very well paced out. And we got to talk about Tony Todd. Just for the little scene that he's in, I think he did a phenomenal job. And as Reverend Zombie, R.I.P. Tony Todd. But yeah, this one really set the bar, in my opinion. And overall, yeah, like I said, I think this one is a great starter to the franchise. It's horror comedy, so and they've really balance off each other well, you know. And it was cool to see Robert Englund come and play that small role, even if he's in it just for about 10 minutes or whatever. I think he did a phenomenal job. But yeah, this really shows Adam Green's writing and directing, how good of a writer and director he is. I've said it before. I feel like if he continues to make these movies, I feel like he could be right up there with some of the legends like Toby Hooper and John Carpenter, stuff like that. I know that's a big leap, and he probably would disagree, but I really enjoy his films. If you haven't seen his films, I mean, you definitely check them out. But yeah, coming in at number 3 is Hatchet. All right, so coming in at number 2 is the 2017 Victor Crowley. I love this film. I know you've heard me say that already, but this film is so much fun. I think this thing means a whole lot to me because I got to see it in 2017 in the theater, and I actually got to sit with the cast. And something really cool is we was in Nashville, Tennessee at a convention, Full Moon Tattoo Horror Festival. If you ever get a chance to go to Nashville to check out that convention, it's amazing. My buddy Ben Dixon and his wife Stacy Dixon run it. But they had Adam Green, Danielle Harris, Sid Haig, Kane Hodder, Tyler Main, and Caroline Williams. They had all these phenomenal actors. And me and my wife actually got to ride with Felissa Rose and Caroline Williams and a couple others to the premiere. And we got to sit with the cast. And I've got photos of Kane Hodder sitting right behind me. My wife sat right next to Caroline Williams. I sat next to Felissa Rose while we got to watch Victor Crowley in theaters. And it was just amazing. Adam Green opened the film talking about, you know, what went into the film. And then after the film, he did Q&A. It was so cool, but that's something I'll always cherish. It was just so cool to experience that as a horror fan and as a Hatchet fan. But this film is so much fun. I love it. The casting is phenomenal. We got Perry Sheen is Andrew Young. We've got Laura Ortiz as Rose. I love her. The one and only, the beautiful Felissa Rose as Kathleen. We got Dave Sheridan as Dylan. Chilling with Dylan. Love that character. Brian Quinn from Impractical Jokers plays Austin. We got Crystal Joe Brown, who plays Sabrina. She did a phenomenal job. Katie Booth played Chloe. We have Tiffany Shepis, I believe her name is, as Casey. Of course, Danielle Harris returning as Mary Beth Dunstan. Chase Williamson as Alex. And Tyler Main made a brief cameo in it. Of course, Tony Todd makes a cameo as Reverend Zombie. And Joe Lynch plays Matthew Waters. He is the pilot. Yeah, overall, the casting was phenomenal. I like the fact that, you know, when we ended with part 3, Victor Crowley was dead. We didn't know if Mary Beth Dunstan was dead. And I was like, well, how are they going to bring Victor Crowley back? And I love the fact that they're literally doing a mock trailer to the murders from the swamp. You know, they've got the 3 characters that's doing a mock trailer, and they're trying to get noticed by Andrew Young. Anyway, they travel to where he's at to meet him for his book signing, and he's still suffering from the backlash he got for being the only survivor from part 3. And I like how it all ties together to where they meet Dylan, because he's kind of a tour guide, but I think Dave Sheridan stole the show in this film. Him and Felissa Rose did great. But I like the aspect of how when the plane crashes and all hell just starts breaking loose, they're trying to learn the voodoo phrase to bring back Victor Crowley. Not to really bring him back, but just for the mock trailer they're making. And nobody's saying it right on YouTube. Well, then all of a sudden it cuts to Tony Todd, Reverend Zombie, on the phone, and he says the exact words that are supposed to be said. Well, then you see the swamp bubbling, and you know, okay, that's what raised Victor Crowley from the grave. I think everybody played off great with each other. Once again, like I said, I think Felissa Rose, as her character Kathleen, did an amazing job. She was Andrew Young's publicist, and she lied to get him out there. I guess she was a public, maybe she was his manager or agent, something like that. But she was hilarious, and she's got one of the worst death scenes I've ever seen. Uh, if you haven't seen it, I'll put a couple pictures in the video, but she's got one of the most gnarly death scenes of all time. And I feel like Victor Crowley is just bigger and vicious in this film in some spots, man. And of course, the way Kane Hodder plays him, he's almost like a grizzly bear chasing him. I mean, he's hell bent to get in the airplane, how the airplane crashed. And going to Dave Sheridan now playing Dylan, he's such a good comic relief, but he's a phenomenal actor. In scenes where he needs to be funny, he's hilarious. And then there's scenes where when he needs to be sensitive or there's drama going on, he plays it so he can just hit that switch and play it so good. Overall, this film, I feel like, is more of a comedy than it is horror. Like the other ones were more kind of based on horror aspect with a few comedy scenes put in it, where this one starts out pure comedy. But the kill scenes are great. The practical effects are wonderful again. And I'm super excited if we get a part 5 or part 6. I want to see how they're going to wrap it all the way up, because we have the surprise ending where Dylan actually sacrifices himself to save Andrew Young and Rose, and he runs and hits Victor Crowley, and they go through the airplane blades and stuff, and it just cuts off after they're both presumably dead. And then after the credits, it shows Mary Beth, and she's there, she's waiting with a shotgun, so she's back. So there's got to be at least a part 5 coming up. But yeah, I have fun with this film. I enjoy it every time I watch it. And like I said, I think the casting was great, and the practical effects, once again, is wonderful. So yeah, definitely a great film. Okay, coming in at number 1, it's Hatchet 2. This film, I feel, is the best of the franchise so far, and I think the casting is phenomenal in the film. I think the acting is great. The practical effects are wonderful. The death scenes are great. I love the fight scenes in this movie. I love the backstory that we get with Victor Crowley's dad, and how his mom was dying of cancer, and the dad started sleeping with his mom's nurse, and how she put a curse on both of them. And, I love how that's how it explains what happened to Victor Crowley as far as the way he looks and stuff. I think Kane Hodder does a phenomenal job, not just as Victor Crowley, but as Victor Crowley's dad. I think he does a great job. Kane Hodder can really act, and I do like his performance in this film. But the cast is wonderful. In this film, we've got Tony Todd makes his return as Reverend Zombie. Of course, Danielle Harris is Mary Beth. This is her first performance as Mary Beth. We have Alexis Kendra, she plays Avery. Of course, Perry Sheen comes back, but this time he's Justin. One of the horror icons, R.A. Heloff? I don't know. He plays Trent. He also played Leatherface in Leatherface 3. We also have A.J. Bowen as Leighton. We have the one and only Tom Holland as Bob. Of course, one of the big horror icons is John Carl Buechler, comes back as Jack Cracker. And let's see, we got Colton Dunn as Vernon. And I believe that should be pretty much about it. But overall, like I said, I think that this movie is paced out very well. There's no boring scenes in it at all. I love how it kicks right off, where Victor Crowley is right into the frame screaming, and he's got a hold of Mary Beth, so it leaves right off where part 1 left off. I think Danielle Harris does a phenomenal job. I think this is finally one of the films that separated her from the Halloween franchise, because everybody knows her as Jamie Lloyd, and then, of course, when she played in Rob Zombie's Halloween as Annie. I think this finally gave her her own character to continue to live off of, not just Jamie Lloyd. But anyway, overall, I love the actual fight scenes that we get into this film. We actually finally get Victor Crowley versus Leatherface from part 3, or if you want to say Kane Hodder versus Leatherface. I think it's so cool because they actually gave us a good battle between them two. And that's what was missing from the other ones, I feel like, with, like I mentioned earlier, with Derek Mears. But phenomenal fight scene, and I love the whole get up behind Tony Todd's character, Reverend Zombie, how he's wanting to send these people in just for his own selfish rights. He's sending these people in to settle the vendetta between Victor Crowley and all them, that he knows Mary Beth's dad was one of the kids that caused the fire. And, you know, the big surprise at the end when Tom Holland, you think, is one of the kids that lit the house on fire and stuff, you find out from Daniel Harris, Mary Beth, where she's like, he was just my daddy's friend. He goes, he's not really my uncle, Uncle Bob. And how all of a sudden Kane Hodder, as Victor Crowley busts through that door, and he's just looking at Tony Todd, and then there you go, you get Candyman versus Jason, Candyman versus Victor Crowley, and I wish we could have got a little bit more with them. That's just me being selfish, but I did like what we got of them. And of course, the kill scene with Reverend Zombie, how Victor Crowley is just cutting him in half, and then he grabs his spinal cord and he puts his foot on the back of Tony Todd's neck and rips his muscle tissue out of his skin, I think is a phenomenal death scene, one that I've never seen again, and almost kind of reminded me of something from Hellraiser. But this film is just fun. It's scary, and as far as scary, I mean, like, Victor Crowley is creepy in this film, but they still have enough humor in it that I find it just enjoyable to watch. And I love how Victor Crowley has the huge chainsaw in this film, and how he picks up the two guys between the legs and literally picks them up in the air. And Mary Beth ain't no joke in this. Mary Beth is vicious. The fight with her and Victor Crowley at the end is phenomenal. But overall, I love this film. I think everything about it is great. Written very well, directed very well. Just overall, this one felt like a bigger budget from the first one. I really do feel that way. I think it even feels a bigger budget than the third one as well. But yeah, absolutely love this film, love this franchise, and I'm hoping that we continue to get more from this franchise. But yes, that is my ranking of the Hatchet franchise. Please let me know what you think about Victor Crowley, the character himself, and what do you think about these films. Let me know your ranking. And as always, until next time, God bless each and every one of you. And until next time.